terrific. Yeah.
I got to see Finding Dory.
Yeah.
Somebody contacted us and said, you know,
That was on your list of, that was on your list of things you wanted to do?
Dover was, I guess some of that stuff there, some of the roads that
Good
were
morning.
bad, you know. They make
And
a
then you had
plan.
shish kebabs I had to fix. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it
I,
Dover?
I got the grill out, you know.
Did you?
They contacted, said, there's a semi stuck out here. We're putting a lot of traffic through it.
Well, our house faces west,
Okay.
so the deck is shaded.
That was it.
Well, I tell you, it was still pretty brutal
Yeah.
yesterday.
So was Christy at the dance recital on Saturday night? Does she still do the
Yeah,
dance stuff?
yeah.
Sydney had, I mean, that was the Dorothy Mama's dance recital.
Yep.
So
She was there, Marg was there, I wasn't.
I made it to halfway, and he got to be about 8:40, and I said, all right, it was intermission. I said, why don't I go ahead and take Anthony home? I think he's pretty tired. No, I'm not. Yes, you are.
Good morning. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Commissioner Cook, you did not get away from singing
Oh.
happy birthday because I believe our clerk, Ms. Beck, is going to lead us in singing happy birthday. It was Commissioner Cook's birthday on Friday?
Friday, yes.
Friday, yes.
Yes, so you have to, now, we will sing happy birthday to you.
You didn't do it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Commissioner Cook. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
That's good.
All right, Commissioner Archer, I'm catching up to you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, June 20th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Good morning, Commissioners, and I hope you had a happy birthday.
I did,
So,
thank you.
Good morning.
Madam Clerk, the first item, please.
First item is item 2 under unfinished business. Number 1, consider approval of resolution number 2016-43, amending the district zoning classification from residential reserve district RR1 to planned unit development district on property located at 1700 Southeast Tecumseh Road for the purpose of converting a house to an office.
Commissioners, we had this item on last week, and we deferred it to take action today. I did have an ex parte communication. I believe all of us received this separately from Mr. Wolnick, so I'm going to make sure that we disclose that. Any discussion?
Just that I also received the same letter.
Yes.
Same.
Also.
Okay.
Yes.
And so further discussion on this item for the commission.
I guess I'll start. I'm not going to support the planned unit development change. I've asked the county counselor to give me the criteria to make such a change, and I've reviewed what are known as the golden rules, and some of the criteria has to do with the character of the neighborhood, the zoning uses of nearby properties, and recommendations of a permanent or professional planning staff. And in reviewing those, I cannot support the PUD request. As far as professional planning staff, I'll refer to the minutes of the Planning Commission meeting of Monday, May 9th, 2016, in which it said, based on surrounding land use patterns, the property was not located at a point of transition, nor was it part of an identified or planned economic activity center for which the site's conversion to office land use would be expected. To the contrary, the proposed reclassification in staff's view would constitute spot zoning and would be inconsistent with the rural character of the area. And continuing, area property owners had a reasonable expectation that surrounding property would continue to be used for agricultural or rural residential land use. So, given those factors, I will not support the PUD.
Is that a motion then to deny?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Is there a second?
I will second. I will also go through and listing out, as we look at the Golden versus City of Overland Park issues, again, many of the same characteristics that Commissioner Archer pointed out, but also looking at the character of the neighborhood and the zoning uses of nearby properties is a major factor into my decision to not support Mr. Kramer. And Mr. Kramer and I did have an opportunity to meet and discuss, and I'm very sympathetic to what his desires are in remaining in Tecumseh area, close to where his home is, ruralness, and this unfortunately doesn't fit within, I think, the character of the neighborhood and the zoning uses of nearby properties. And so, having waited very heavily over this last week, I will not be able to support it.
Thank you, Commissioner Cook. And as you all know, this had to be a unanimous vote by the commission. So I struggled with this one as well. And of course, the Planning Commission was split also. Staff recommended, but Planning Commission was a 4-3 vote. And I was leaning more in favor of supporting the resolution. I think it's very difficult. It's a very small business. If you have from my understanding, if you have a daycare or something of that matter, a small business, that you could have that in a residential area. So, again, it's not a large business. It was a smaller business, and that was weighing in your favor. But with that being said, all those in favor of denying the resolution, if that is correct, Counselor, all those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 2-1. Commissioner Bueller dissenting.
But
Commissioner
just
Archer?
for clarification, staff recommended that the PUD not be granted.
They did. They
I
did.
didn't,
They did.
I wanted to make sure, and the commission voted 4-3. Yes,
Correct.
but staff said no.
Correct. All right. Thank you for being here this morning.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Are there questions on the consent agenda? Is there a motion?
I'll move approval of consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Cook,
Second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item 4, new business A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Madam Chair, this morning we have one voucher report dated June 17th, 2016. Total amount of vouchers, $1,121,476.01. Significant items include payroll expense of $636,000 and health insurance of $85,000. I've reviewed the vouchers. I have no questions remaining, and make a motion to approve the vouchers.
Thank you. Have no questions either.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item B, corrections. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-191-2016 with Let's Help, Inc. to provide GED preparation classes from their adult education program, as well as job readiness training, basic computer skills through the Older Kansas Employment program within the annex of the Shawnee County Department of Corrections with no cost to the county.
Good Monday morning, Commissioners. Eve Kendall from the Shawnee County Department of Corrections. I have this memo in front of you concerning the GED program and some additional job readiness training for inmates at the jail. About a year ago, grant funding discontinued some of the GED programming that we had through another agency, and we've been trying to find someone to fill that spot, and Let's Help has been very good in working with us and providing this program at no cost. So we're asking your approval.
Thank you. Other questions about the contract?
Move to approve the contract.
Motion by Commissioner Archer,
Second.
second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Item C, Parks and Recreation. Number one, consider authorization and execution of contract C-192-2016 with Labor Max Staffing to provide 11 temporary employees to help assist with cleaning and stocking the restrooms at Lake Shawnee during the 2016 Spirit of Kansas event on July 4th at a rate of $13.60 per hour with a total estimated cost of $1,196.80.
Before you commissioners, this contract, this is to help us with the Spirit of Kansas and just the magnitude of this event. We need that additional staffing in the late afternoon and the evening to cover a lot of the porta johns and some of the other restrooms. And just, in order to keep things adequate and clean throughout the evening, we have to have that additional staff. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Other questions? No?
I'll move approval.
So motion by Commissioner Cook,
Second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
It's probably going to be just as hot on the 4th of July.
I
what do you
hope it's
think?
not as hot as Friday was.
I know.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Item C2, consider approval of request to award bid for resurfacing 18 crossover tennis center courts to Mid-America Court Works Wichita at a cost of $104,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Terry Birtles, Parks and Recreation. Have before you a request to approve bids solicited for the resurfacing of 18 tennis courts at Crossover Tennis Center. We received 2 bids, one from McConnell Associates out of Kansas City, Missouri, and one from Mid-America Court Works in Wichita. Mid-America Court Works was the low bid at $104,000. The tennis courts at Crossover Tennis Center were last redone in 2004. And you shouldn't expect more than about 6 to 8 years of useful life out of those courts, depending on the amount of play. And Crossover gets a tremendous amount of play. We host regional and state tennis meets. We host local invitational meets. We host the Sunflower State Games and the Senior Olympics there, as well as just ongoing play throughout the season. We are in the midst of a comprehensive review of our court services, and as I say in the memo, some will probably be repurposed, some will go away, but there's no scenario in which crossover would be one of those that is either repurposed or removed. So we're asking for your approval to resurface these using Parks and Recreation Building Maintenance Funds in the amount of $104,000.
Thanks, Terry. And this is for 18
Correct.
courts? 18 courts. And maybe I missed it, but when are you going to be doing the...
We hope to start right after the 1st of August, and kind of hit a short span between the end of the kind of the playing season for tournaments and so on, and the beginning of the high school tournaments.
Okay. Thank you. Further questions?
I move for approval of the award to Mid-America Court Works.
Thank you. There's a motion by Commissioner Cook.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks.
Item D, Public Works Solid Waste. Number one, consider approval of request to fill 2 road maintenance positions at a salary each, including benefits of $42,995.89, and to fill any subsequent positions that may result from filling these positions.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Blunt, Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a Public Works item, and this actually goes back to some positions that became vacant last fall. I made the decision to delay this request due to the fact that we were in the middle of our salary study, and I wanted to wait until the salary study was completed and implemented, so that in the hopes that we could get a bigger pool of applicants. And now I'm coming before you to request to fill these positions. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thanks, Tom. Any questions?
Move to approve the request.
So motion by Commissioner Archer.
Second.
And second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item E, Commission. Number one, consider approval of resolution number 2016-45, a resolution of intent for Shawnee County to implement and fund the CBIZ study results for all Shawnee County classified employees.
And Commissioners, I know that some discussion has been had with administrative services, with human resources, and some questions from some classified individuals that do we intend to implement the CBIZ study with this group of employees? And so this resolution is just expressing that intent. Other questions? I'll move approval, move to adopt the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item 5, administrative communications.
Usually there's a big line.
I know.
Steve Bauman, County Appraiser. Just want to give you an update on a couple of things. First of all, we certified last week our 2016 values to the county clerk. That deadline is normally June 15th. We certified on the 13th, a couple days early. That's going to kind of play in a little bit to the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and that's kind of giving you a summary of some of our legislative changes that's going to affect our office and potentially our budget. That substitute, Senate substitute for House Bill 2088, it was the tax lid bill, or that's what they call it. That's moving the certification date from June 15th to June 1st. So I think that's an attempt to give you more time to budget accordingly and potentially have some elections to increase taxes if necessary. So we're in our office going through our procedures to make sure we can meet those deadlines just fine and move everything up a little bit. So probably send out valuation notices a little bit early, finish up hearings a little early, things like that. And I think maybe conversations with some other officers like the county clerk maybe to make sure that we meet everybody's needs when we certify. Whether that needs to be a little bit sooner than that or not, we'll check into that. Then there was another bill that was flying around. It's House substitute for Senate Bill 280. This was known as the biennium bill. It started off pretty messy, and we had Ashley Beeger, the county counselor's office, spent a lot of time working on this, a lot of extra hours with our KAC representatives and some of the appraisers, just trying to make this bill a little more palatable and actually doable. Some of these things were going to be impossible to tackle as written, but so here is a brief summary of those changes that I think have probably the biggest impact. I won't go through the entire thing. I did that with the staff meeting, and it lasted about an hour and a half, so I'll not do that. This is one that the governor vetoed, and then House and Senate overwhelmingly overrode that veto, and so it passed. One of the reasons for the veto was the district court option as a trial de novo. The pizza guy and his taxes and the governor wanted to eliminate that part of those taxes from this bill and just make it property tax related. That didn't happen. But so now when a taxpayer appeals to the district court, it's going to be held or could be held as a trial de novo, brand new trial. So we're going to have to go through the entire appeal process with district court. And from what I understand, it's a little more lengthy than a trial at the Board of Tax Appeals. So we'll perform the Board of Tax Appeals hearing and then a district court hearing if they so choose. And the key to that is only the taxpayer has the right to appeal the voter decision to district court. Before we were allowed to appeal if we got a decision that we didn't believe was accurate or fair. So they eliminated our ability to appeal that. And then in this bill, they also changed some of the wording of the county appraiser's duties in 791412A. We can no longer request from a taxpayer a copy of an appraisal that was obtained for the purpose of mortgage financing. You would think that that may be one of the better indicators of market value. I don't know why that's been eliminated, but we can ask for that. The appraisers or the appraisers' representatives are no longer able to ask for that. Nor are we able to ask for documents detailing individual lease agreements. We're also still working on interpretation of what all of this means. So Property Valuation Division is working on some guides and memos to maybe help us understand what this means, and our counselors and Casey are working to figure out exactly what it means. But that kind of handcuffs our office a little bit if we can't see the details within those net operating incomes. Leases are entirely different, and we've got to break it down to an apples-to-apples comparison in order to accurately figure out what those leases mean. And then 791460, which last year, and I think maybe this is what started this whole bill change to begin with. Last year, that was for the 2-year rollover after an appeal. We had to carry that value for 2 years. Some counties challenged that, and it was determined it was unconstitutional. So they made some changes to it. And at this point, don't really know if it's constitutional or not. There may be some challenges there again, due to the fact that it may not be uniform and equal either. So we'll keep an eye on that. And what this does is it removes the word substantial and compelling from the statute, which would give us the opportunity to increase the value after a successful appeal. And that's fine, because they added some additional language. But now, for commercial properties only, it doesn't apply to residential. They don't get the benefit of this. So the 2 years following a reduction made pursuant to the appeal process, if the value increases in the next 2 years by more than 5%, then we either have to adjust the value with the reasoning from the appeal or hire an appraisal. And that could get into some additional costs for us. We don't know how much. Currently, with our market not increasing as much as 2.5% a year, it's probably going to have very little effect. If the market starts to return or continues to return to a normal level, where we're seeing 3%, 4% increases on an annual basis, within that 2 years we'll be over the 5% limit. So we always consider what we've done the year before in valuing for the next year. So I'm not sure how that would apply. If we consider that, does that satisfy, even though it went up 5%? I don't know. But it could cost a little bit of money to obtain independent appraisal. And then another new section that was added. I don't think it's going to have much effect because so far we've been in compliance, and I don't see us dropping out of compliance. But when an appraiser fails to meet the minimum appraisal standards for commercial property only established by our ratio studies, this bill would require the Director of Property Valuation to perform or contract appraisals on no less than 1% of our commercial classification properties. I think that's going to be a significant impact to them, and I'm not sure how they're going to pay for it. Hopefully I don't have to find out. But, so if those appraisals result in a statistical deviation of more than 5% on 25% of the properties, then the director is ordered to take corrective action to help us get back into compliance. Whatever that means. Now, and I'm not sure why they chose 5%, because we have a 10% variance in our ratio study and IAAO standards, and so we worked on trying to get that at the 10%, because that makes sense. There were some other things in there that weren't very good either, but those were cleaned up, so it's not as bad as it could have been. And then lastly, the legislators added a new appeal process, which could affect our office and time involved in taking care of this. So after our informal hearing process, if a taxpayer does not appeal that decision on to the Board of Tax Appeals, they have 60 days to provide us with independent appraisal. And within 15 days from that, we have to review it and make a decision of whether or not we're going to use it. If we don't use it, that value, we need to issue that decision and then set forth the reasons why we chose to not favor that appraisal. And then at that point, we'll have 90 days to conduct our own single property appraisal that conforms to standards, standards 1 and 2 of USPAP, or hire an independent appraisal. So, at this point, it'll be challenging, and we don't really have any idea how it's going to affect our budget, but I think we'll probably need to include some to account for that. That's kind of our legislative update on the last round of things. The legislators were supposed to be working on school finance and a few other things, and they snuck this in the last second and decided to override that, probably because it was easier. But that's all I have. Any questions?
Commissioner Kerr?
So, long and the short is, we're gonna need more money for independent appraisals.
Possibly.
We're anticipating that it's going to take longer to determine the value of property, which would affect then the treasurer's office and his operations, which would affect our ability to budget and forecast our income and revenue streams. And you're going to need additional assistance and staffing and making sure you comply with all the regulations. Is that the short of it?
That's pretty good.
All right, just want to make sure I got that.
It could have been worse. I mean, they were talking about giving us single property, and making us do a single property appraisals conforming to standards 1 and 2 for all 75,000 parcels. That's impossible to do in a year. Even if they went with a biennium bill every 2 years, that's still impossible. So, and it wouldn't create uniformity, and it wouldn't make our values any better than everybody else.
Way to start the week, Steve.
Thank you.
It's important information to know. Commissioner Archer, though?
But Steve, our compliance ratio has always been outstanding. It's always been, within 1 or 2%?
It has been. Now, residential is a lot easier because we have a lot more sales
Right.
To show how good we're doing. Commercial, we don't have a whole lot of sales activity, so we could have a couple sales that, for whatever reason, could toss this up and down. But so far, we've been doing great.
Okay.
Don't expect that to change.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anyone else?
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. Take care of a couple of real quick announcements for you. Tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock, one of our partners, the Friends of Ted Inslee Gardens, who works with the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Foundation, they are partnering with the Chamber of Commerce for the Chamber After Hours event. So at 5 o'clock at the Friends of Ted Inslee Gardens, that event will take place. Now, we had an event similar to this 4 or 5 years ago when we first started development of the garden areas over there, and it was one of the highest attended events that the Chamber had, and we're hoping to have a great turnout for that again, too. On Wednesday at 1 o'clock, we're going to have an announcement at the Ward Mead Gardens regarding their receiving designation as a National Daylily display garden. You remember a little over a year ago, we received that designation for as a hosta garden. Now we're also going to receive receive a designation as a daylily display garden as well. And then on Thursday in the evening, we're also going to have at the Old Prairie Town and Ward Mead Gardens a public engagement session in which we are going to lay out some of our future plans, some of the ideas staff has had, some of the ideas the fringe groups have had, and allow some of the public to come by and participate in some of those planning and see what's going on. That way, if they ever see construction going over there, they'll have been part of the growth going forward, but also know that it's going on. The other thing that I'd like to address with the commissioners is I want to thank you for allowing me to attend the Special Park District Forum in Cleveland, Ohio last week. Probably I need to dispel a couple of rumors before I get started. No, the Cleveland Cavaliers didn't have me in for some last-minute advice on how to win the NBA Finals. The other thing, too, is I did not attend every one of the sessions. Every morning I did skip the Good Morning Yoga at 6 o'clock in the morning and the 5K run. I did attend all of the other events, but I did skip those two each morning. I understand I wasn't the only one skipping those events, too, by the way. But this is I really want to thank you for allowing me to attend that. I continue to be amazed as to how much Shawnee County as a county-wide department has in common with special park districts, larger regional type districts, even some state agencies. A lot more in common than we have with a lot of the municipalities and those type of things. Cleveland's a much, much, much bigger city than Topeka, but I find that the problems are the same, except maybe the magnitude's a little bit different. I attended several things from some of the partnerships that they developed. For instance, they developed a restaurant on one of their recreational lakes there. They went out for bid and got all of the big restaurateurs in and around the area to bid on that. They didn't like any of the bids. Now they're running that, and they're looking like they're going to turn a $2 to $3 million profit for running a restaurant on their lake. Now, I'm not down here asking for waiters and busboys to be added to my budget, but it was kind of interesting to see that, and I know several of us have talked about some of those type of scenarios here to see it actually working in those type of things. I also, some of the other, the big thing that I noticed from these park district forums is their planning seems to be a lot farther out than what we're able to do here. For instance, the two biggest parks that people talk about with Topeka and Shawnee County are Gage Park and Lake Shawnee. One was built in 1900 and one was built in 1930. Are we setting aside those lands now so that the next Gage Park and the next Lake Shawnee for the next 100 years land will be available? And working with Barry Beagle on the new comprehensive plan, I think is a golden opportunity that we can kind of begin to work on some of this together to set aside something like that. With that being said, this isn't my final report. I'll put together some real specific things and hand into the commission. If you'd like me to follow up with some detail when I turn that back in, I'd be more than happy to. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, John. Anyone else for administrative communications? Commissioners? Do you have anything to add?
Not this morning.
Commissioner Archer?
I did get an opportunity to go to the third Thursday event at the Expo Center on Thursday, and considering the heat index was pretty wicked, I think there were over 150 people that attended. That's not counting the dogs. So it was a great event. I'm excited that it's going to continue through the summer, and hopefully the weather will be a little bit better as we move on. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Next item, please.
Item 6, executive session.
I do not believe there's a need, correct? So we are adjourned. Thank you.